Hey, welcome everyone. Uh, EU-INT pod. It's time. I'm gonna be talking about everything that's going on in the EU today, which is quite a lot. Um, I'll just share my screen for everyone on Discord. On YouTube, you can already see it. There you go. There we go. Go live. Go live. Right. So what's happened today? Quite a lot. Let's pull up the old Reddit and have a look what's going on. The top stories are of today and maybe the past week as well. Past 24 hours. Let's have a look. And more leopards for Ukraine. Oh, that's always nice. Let's have a look. So yeah, the news this week: more leopards for Ukraine. Denmark and the Netherlands said to send 14 tanks. That's a joint purchase. I believe Denmark's already committed to sending 100, or maybe already have sent 100, which they still had as a storage. This is something that's still up in the air. I haven't seen any Oryx post on this. Oryx is a person on Twitter who tracks all the weapons deliveries and tries to keep an eye on what kind of damage both sides in the war are experiencing. But good, 14 more tanks for Ukraine. Germany rethinks China's Hamburg port deal as further doubts raised. This is China buying up part of the Hamburg port. But Germany's obviously, considering this a national security matter. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I think, it kind of reminds me of what happened in Greece. In Greece, one of the ports was also sold to the Chinese to become the end station for the Belt and Road network. And the Greek population wasn't too happy with that. So, these are ongoing issues where the Chinese are trying to encroach on European states and what European states consider their national security. So we'll see what comes from that. I mean, the story has not been written yet. China has a lot of money and will try to buy up stuff. Next up, EU pressures Twitter to comply with DSA as media leave platform. So the Digital Services Act. This is a legislation that was introduced last year, I believe, and it takes a while for it to come into effect. In principle, it means that social media platforms with big audiences, need to have some kind of checking system to make sure that the posts that comply to EU rules and that abuse is curtailed. It also has to do with making the statistics open to research, all those kind of things. So, as you know, Twitter, Elon Musk's been gutting it. If you send Twitter support a question these days, you get a poop emoji back. Not the best kind of customer service there. So once the legislation comes into effect, it could cost Twitter a lot of money if they do get sued by the Europeans, by the European Commission. So we'll see. This is the EU is now doing softly, but they might change their tact. Another story: Italian beach space must be open to competition. ECJ ruling. Italian beaches are many of them are privately owned, and this is something that is passed from family to family every generation to generation within a family. And the ECJ has said no, it has to be open to competition. So you can't just do that. There has to be some sort of you have to be able to buy and sell these pieces of land. Of course, many Italian families not happy with this, but such is life, you know. What goes for one goes for all. Um, Another story: EU-led talks to lift bans on tariff-free Ukrainian grain fail. It's a bit of a sentence. So anyway, the Ukrainians have been shipping grain through European ports to all around the world. This is something that has been going on since the war, since the Russians tried to cut off their deliveries through the Black Sea. Um, and basically what's been happening is that grain has not been making it to the ports. It's being sold in the country and therefore depressing the price of grain, which makes farmers quite mad. So that's kind of what this is about. Poland and Hungary and I think the Czech Republic closed their borders to Ukrainian grain, even though that's not in their remit. The only ones allowed to discuss and set trade policy are the European Union. So this is something that has caught the European Commission off guard. They're trying to sweet talk them now into accepting a 100 million euro package, so that they can compensate the farmers. However, it's in Hungary and in Poland. It turns out that the government itself is more responsible for not letting the grain get to the ports than many people expect, and not a good move by the Polish government there, especially since they're supporting Ukraine so vociferously in other ways. This will mean that there will be a big problem for the Ukrainian farmers, who already have a very hard time, with their fields being mined and with the war going on. Other stories: UK goods export lowest in G7 following Brexit study finds. We already know, right? This is nothing new. UK goods exports. Well, I mean, dude, paperwork, right? Paperwork everywhere. So nothing surprising there. I mean, for us Europeans, I think Brexit is mainly over. It's not something that really affects us anymore, unless you're specifically shipping to Britain. And most companies have now kind of divested from that. So it's to us Brexit is over. But for Britain, Brexit is still ongoing and probably will be for a whole while. For the rest, MEPs strongly condemn anti-LGBTIQ bill in Uganda. That's the anti-homosexuality bill 2023. They're illegal, with life imprisonment set as the maximum punishment for engaging in same-sex relationship. Now, come on, guys, stop messing with the gays. It's not nice. So the MEPs said something about that. Obviously, very good. We'll see what comes from that. There might be sanctions coming up for that as well. Although with Hungary, maybe not. Of course, Sudan is still ongoing. There still been clashes today. Yesterday, a Belgian EU diplomat got shot. He's in stable condition, but still obviously not doing very well. The US is looking to possibly send troops there to evacuate people. The Germans already tried; it didn't work quite well. And there's a number of things going on over there now that they're not too happy with. Ethiopia also attacked Sudan yesterday, funnily enough. So it's always nice to take advantage of people when they're down, isn't it? Ethiopia, come on, man. U.S. carbon capture incentives leave EU lagging behind. Biofuel makers warn. Yeah, that they would. Biofuel isn't the most clean solution that we have. There are other solutions, but since biofuel is still in the energy mix, the manufacturers are obviously concerned that how the U.S. is doing it, that we can't do that or something. But that's like expected that they would be saying that. Oh, let's see here. Don't forget, NL has planes ready in Lebanon for evac operations in Sudan. Yeah, true, but do we actually have enough for all the EU citizens? Let's say, the thing is that we were supposed to have a rapid reaction force by now, an EU rapid reaction force, and it's not there, and that's a pain, especially after what happened in Afghanistan, with the retreat there. Which was kind of the incentive for us to create a rapid reaction force. So let's just hope that European countries can ad hoc together with the United States again to get this done if it's necessary, if it's deemed necessary. I think up to now, I've seen figures up to 2,000 people killed. So it's still a low-level conflict. I mean, low level, not for those families involved, but. Let's see, has the situation been raised in the EU Parliament as an argument in favor of an EU rapid reaction force, or can we look forward to that? I don't know. I haven't seen anything about it yet, to be honest. I've seen the statements by Josep Borrell, the HRVP, the High Representative for Foreign Policy and Vice President of the European Commission. He said basically, I mean, I've got the statement here, actually. I'll just open it. The European Union and its members strongly condemn the ongoing fighting between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces, which threatens the safety and security of people of Sudan, as well as the unity and stability of the country. The outbreak of hostility undermines efforts to restore the transition towards civilian-led democratic government. It also risks regional destabilization. But he doesn't say, I mean, he says here, the EU will continue to actively engage with key partners to ensure that all parties give priority to silencing the guns, ending violence, de-escalating situation, and resolving political difference and dialogue. I mean, there's no statement about evacuations or stuff like that. Obviously, if they were going to do that, they want to keep it a little bit quiet. But we'll see. This is an ongoing situation. Yeah, so let's see what else. EU calls for a global renewable energy target. That was big news today as well. Obviously, getting Russia, China to listen right now probably will be a little bit hard. But we'll see. This is an issue that goes beyond, beyond what we usually talk about. The petty geopolitics. So, who knows? Another thing is Spitzenkandidat idea is slowly fading away. Yeah, this is the idea that for those that don't know, Spitzenkandidat is a system where you have each party put forward a candidate, which will be then the European Commission president. And last time that happened, it's failed spectacularly because the coalition talks basically between the European People's Party, Renew Europe, and the Social Democrats, the S&D faction, failed, and they couldn't agree on a candidate, and that's why Ursula von der Leyen was chosen. And to go all through that, I don't think many of the leaders of the member states are looking forward to having to do last minute negotiations until 5 o'clock in the morning anymore. So they're kind of making that kind of fade away. They don't want to talk about how they're going to do that. Even though, as far as I understand it, as far as I understand it, it's not even written in any of the treaties on how to select a candidate. I think the candidate for European Commission president is selected by the European Council and then okayed by Parliament. I think that's how it is in the treaties. So, the idea of a Spitzenkandidat was kind of to make it look more democratic, I guess, kind of an agreement amongst friends. But because that failed, what's the next step? Let's see what else. EU Parliament demands Russia release Kara-Murza, Navalny, and other political prisoners. Well, good luck with that. Russia jailed Kara-Murza, who was a dissident for 25 years. Navalny obviously is still in prison and under really terrible circumstances. And Putin seems to be cracking down on opposition in his country. It's a good thing that the EU Parliament demands his release, but I don't think it's going to have much effect, to be honest. Putin's not going to take any notice of that at all. Further, there's a new European State of the Climate 2022, which is out by the Copernicus group. Very interesting. If you have time, go read it. It's got everything from how the wildfires were last year in Greece and around Europe, in Spain and stuff like that. How this wind and solar energy resources are. It's got almost everything on it. It's super interesting to go through all these charts and all this stuff. This is from the climate change Earth observation satellite system, Copernicus. So you do get the most accurate data probably in the world on how our climate was doing last year. Obviously, it takes a year for this data to be. They can't do it from yesterday, because that would be really interesting. If you're more interested in kind of weather phenomenon, there's also a very good website called severeweather.eu, which is highly recommended by me. It's got everything. It's got very much in-depth articles about weather phenomenon, and it goes into the science as well. It uses the Copernicus data to a great extent. So let's see what else. France and Poland spar as EU plan to buy Ukraine ammo idles in legal limbo. Yeah, this is something that has to be fixed, guys. Ukraine is looking for ammo, but because of this legal kerfuffle which is going on between Poland and France. France wants to keep the contracts within the EU, and that will have drawn-out negotiations, and that will take a long time. Whereas, if you just buy it from the Americans, it's much cheaper and easier, and the Ukrainians can get on with it. So this is something that that is not. Something that is something that can be just left by the wayside. So there's eventually, it says here, the Swedes stepped in to try to find a compromise. The country holds the rotating EU presidency, given the mandate to hatch out disagreements in the Council of the EU. Swedish officials offered an updated text seen by Politico, which tried to nod to both sides. The compromise document limited the upcoming contracts to economic operators established in the Union and Norway, but it included a line that the directive should not set a precedent. Some diplomats felt that the new text was moving too much in the French direction, while others grumbled that it was open up new questions about which companies or subcontractors should be involved. Still, there was some cautious optimism. Well, don't mess around with that right now. They're on the cusp of their Ukraine's on the cusp of their pushback against Russia. Come on, Let's see, and I think that's basically it. The EU had a Gucci Milan inspection of Gucci Milan for an antitrust probe, which was quite nice. It's a nice little video by Reuters. And Hungary drops EU-Africa treaty veto after a guarantee on sexual rights, which is quite a story, to be honest. Hungary will drop its veto on the EU treaty with African, Caribbean, and Pacific community after securing assurances from the European Commission that the treaty will not take any powers on migration control and sexual rights from national governments. Well, we all know what that's about, you know. So Hungary, stop it. All right. And I think that's about it. We've had all the rest of the news is pretty much covered. Yeah, so I'll be back tomorrow with another small update on the news. I'll just open it. If anyone wants to have a chat, just raise your hand in the Discord, and I'll let you in. So if not, then that's it for the night. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, see you tomorrow then. Night night.